Nintendo has announced plans to acquire Bandai Namco Studios Singapore. They recently just announced these plans a few days ago. Essentially, what they're going to be doing is buying out 80% of the shares of Bandai Namco Singapore on April 1st of 2026. Now, I find that a very just like interesting date to pick to buy shares in something, to buy out a company, because are they pre-preparing an April Fool's Day joke? And if so, what is it? But essentially, they're going to be buying 80% of the shares in Bandai Namco Studios Singapore, which is a subsidiary of Bandai Namco that is in Singapore. And then at a later date, after, according to them, after the subsidiary's operations have stabilized, they plan to acquire the remaining 20% of this. Now, why are they doing this? One, Nintendo already has a stake in the parent company, Bandai Namco. They control a 1.78% of the shares of Bandai Namco. Part of this is apparently a effort. From what I was reading, it's largely just an effort to maintain good relationships. Like, hey, we have a stake in your company, so we have some financial control and we have some financial, investment in you. We're not going to screw with you. You don't screw with us, kind of thing. And that makes a lot of sense, especially when you think about, because I asked the question when this Power World. Oh my god, I'm dying. I swallowed spit wrong. When this Power World drama happened, when they started suing Power World because Power World's too close to Pokemon, my initial thought is like, there's a lot of things that are close to Pokemon. Why aren't you going after Digimon, which is the objectively better game between Digimon and Pokemon? I mean, I don't care what you think. You're wrong. Digimon's better. But that largely might be because they have a standing working relationship. They own a 1.78% stake in it. Interestingly, one of the things I found out as I was researching this, Sony owns a 2.78% stake in 2.47% stake in Bandai Namco. If you don't know, Sony and Nintendo are kind of don't like each other. They're kind of very competitive, and Sony's currently backing Pocket Pair and Power World, and Nintendo is currently suing Pocket Pair and Power World. But one of the big things about this, one of the big reasons that they're doing this, is not just because of their financial investment in Bandai Namco. They are lately, over the last few years, I'd say they are on somewhat of a kick of acquiring other subsidiary companies. They're acquiring other companies to bolster their own internal development process, their own capability of internally developing games. So with Bandai Namco Studios Singapore, I'm just going to say with Bandai Singapore right now, just because I don't want to say the whole thing every single time. But with Bandai Namco Singapore, they had previously worked with Bandai Namco Singapore on Splatoon 3 and on the new Pokemon Snap game. Now, if you look at because once I saw this, if you are like me, right now, anything that Nintendo does, any big thing Nintendo does, you immediately get suspicious of, because they've done a lot of shady stuff just with this Pokemon Power World stuff. So I looked into it. I said, I wanted to see, like, is there any way that this could relate to the Pocket Pair lawsuit? Is acquiring Bandai Namco Studios Singapore gonna give them some sort of edge when it comes to this Pocket Pair lawsuit? Is that what they're trying to do here? And it's such a wild thing to do. It would be an incredibly weird thing for them to do, to acquire a company just to win this lawsuit. But given the precedent that this lawsuit might set, I can potentially see them doing this. But some of the games that Bandai Namco Singapore is responsible for is Ace Combat 7 Skies Unknown, Soul Calibur 6, Splatoon 3, and some game that is only written in Japanese, and I don't speak that much Japanese anymore. The only thing I can say in Japanese is Watashi no Hashimasu Nihongo desu, which, if I remember correctly, is the way to say I speak Japanese, which means the only thing I can do in Japanese is lie. But with that, there does not seem to be any direct correlation between acquiring Bandai Namco Studios Singapore and the Pocket Pair lawsuit. I wanted to get out of there, get ahead of that right away, because that was my first thought. of what this might be about, just because right now my brain is so filled with what is going on with Pocket Bear, and everything Nintendo's doing is about Pocket Bear, which is a ridiculous take to look. But I'm always kind of looking for those avenues that might be happening. But like I said, they already have a 1.78% stake in Bandai Namco in and of itself. Now, one of the things I do find kind of interesting in that, again, is the fact that Bandai Namco owns Digimon, or they publish Digimon. Bandai owns Digimon. Bandai Namco. Bandai is a subsidiary of Bandai Namco, so Bandai Namco owns Digimon through a circuitous route. So could this possibly be a way to get more and more of a stake in that and acquire more of that? Maybe, but what it really seems to be is they are just trying to bolster their internal internal production capabilities, because I mean, it's really good news if you're a Nintendo fan, if you're someone that really enjoys Nintendo games, if you want Nintendo games, you probably are saying the same thing as everyone else. They've gotten worse over the years. Like, I haven't played too many Nintendo games, but just from seeing it and hearing people talk about it, it's very clear that Nintendo games have not really seemed to keep up with the quality and the expectations of the audience, especially when compared to other game studios and other IPs that are constantly developing and competing with them. So it really seems like, in light of the Switch 2 coming out, and in preparation for just the future of their company and the future of gaming, they're trying to acquire a lot more studios that can help them internally produce games. That way they no longer have to work with this other company and give some sort of ownership stake to this company and pay that company a large amount of money. They now can do it internally. They don't have to worry about what this other company is doing. They control it. They can tell them what to do. They are the bosses. But this also seems to me to be going down a route that game studios, especially the big game studios, seem to be going down, that I am not a fan of. And that is that they're doing the crafting thing, right? They're acquiring more and more game studios and more publishers, and more of these developers. And that doesn't seem to be good. Like, what all that has shown so far, like, at least as far as I'm aware of all the properties that I'm aware of, the inequality of the product, especially of the IP owned by the company that is acquired, gets worse. I mean, look at the Subnautica 2 stuff going on right now, and how everyone's looking at Subnautica 2. Krafton bought that, or bought Unknown Worlds, and that's creating the problems there. I talked about that in a previous video. But it seems like, as these big studios acquire the smaller studios, it has a negative impact on the gaming sphere and on the development of those games, because now the further away you get from the passion of developing that game, and the more, people with a monetary and financial stake, same thing, but the people with a financial stake in the game, and the people that are more concerned not about the creative process and about the soul of the game, but are instead concerned about how marketable it's going to be and how profitable it's going to be, and making it more marketable and more profitable by making it appeal to more people, but that kind of ruins the scope of what the game is supposed to be. The worse the product is at the beginning. But this is following a trend of Nintendo, who previously didn't really buy up a lot of companies. I can't think of too many like Nintendo subsidiaries that aren't just, Nintendo of America or Nintendo Singapore or Nintendo this or that or blah blah blah, that are just, we opened a Nintendo location in a different store in a different country. Can't think of too many that are like that, but they seem to be going down that route. In 2021, they acquired Next Level Games. Next Level Games was a studio that had previously helped them produce Luigi's Mansion. Let me look at some of the other stuff. I don't know why I didn't already do this. Yeah, they had previously helped with Luigi's Mansion 3, with Metroid Prime Federation Force, with Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, Microsoft Solitaire Collection, oddly enough, Captain America Super Soldier, Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon, Transformers Cybertron Adventures, Doc Louie's Punch-Out, Jungle Speed, Ticket to Ride, Spider-Man Friend or Foe, Mario Strikers Charge, Super Mario Strikers, NHL Hit Pro. But they had previously worked on other games, so they'd worked with Nintendo. Nintendo acquired them in 2021 to help bolster some of their internal production ability. In 2022, they acquired Systems Research and Development. That one's not as crazy, because Systems Research and Development has been helping Nintendo with the development of different things since 1982. They acquired the mocap and CGI studio Dynamo Pictures, renamed it to Nintendo Pictures in 2022. Now, this is a CGI and mocap studio, so it's going to help them with some of the art, the artistic side, the development, the CGI, obviously the artistic side of it, making the mocap good, making the characters move in a more human way, making it look better. That was their goal in 2022. Considering like Pokemon ZA and kind of how not great it looks, I don't know how much they're helping out there. But again, like, it's going to be someone in my comments saying, "Well, Pokemon was developed by Game Freak, blah blah blah." And then they work with Nintendo. You'd think Nintendo would help them, or you think Nintendo would have a space in it. I mean, the Pokemon ZA looks kind of good, but doesn't look as good as I feel like it should. It's also meant to run on like a Switch 2 and a Switch, which is not the best console in the world, or the most capable console in the world in terms of hardware capabilities. And they acquired Monolith Soft, who developed Xenoblade and helped develop Zelda. They acquired them in 2024. Now, with the acquisition, the planned acquisition of Bandai Namco Studios Singapore, I said I was going to shorten it, and I ended up not in this entire time. They have acquired, within the last 5 years, they've acquired 5 different studios to help them develop this. I'm worried this is going down a route where now every game developer is going to be owned. Every small indie studio is going to be quickly, or every other studio is going to be owned by like a few big studios. Microsoft already acquired like Blizzard and Activision. Sony has a whole bunch of partners. Now Nintendo Crafton owns so much, and now Nintendo is starting to acquire more and more studios, and it's going to become a thing where the soul of gaming is going to die in favor of these companies that are run by money men, and these companies that have now become basically holding companies rather than development companies. And it's gonna hurt gaming. And this also raises the kind of funny question, and this is something that I have said before, and a lot of people have said before, of if they're going on this kick of acquiring companies, and they didn't like what Pocket Pair did because Pocket Pair was a challenge to them, why didn't they try to acquire Pocket Pair? If they were so worried about what Pocket Pair was doing and worried that Pocket Pair was going to be a challenge to them, and Pocket Pair was damaging them, and because of this lawsuit, they kind of have to like prove damages to some extent, and was going to be damaging to them. Why didn't they just hire Pocket Pair to make Palworld Pokemon, to make Ark Survival of all Pokemon, which is what a lot of people say Palworld is, to make a Pokemon base building game? I feel pretty confident that like the amount of money Nintendo has and the amount of money that they could pay, they could offer an amount of money to Pocket Pair that they would immediately give into. Now, the Pocket Pair devs are kind of like badasses in a way of like they really just love sticking it to Nintendo, and they really love telling off everyone else, and just really giving it straight. So they might have just straight up refused to sell to Nintendo. I have not heard in any of the research I've done on this, I've not heard of any deal that Nintendo tried to offer them. They immediately went the route of sue. And that is also another kind of concern that I have here with this is as Nintendo is acquiring more companies, they are then acquiring those companies' IP. They are acquiring basically everything that company owns, they now own. Is this going to open the door for more lawsuits? Is that something that Nintendo might be trying to gear up for as well? I don't know. There's no real evidence for that other than just like a little bit of intuition and a little bit of, conspiracy theory, honestly. Like I'll be straight up with you. It's conspiracy theory. But the more they acquire, even if that's not their goal right now, even if that's not their goal at this minute, it does give them the ability to do that, right? Like it gives them the ability to, now that they own, okay, let's go back to this, they own, or they will be owning as of April 1st, 2026. They will own Ace Combat Skies Unknown, Soul Calibur 6, Splatoon 3. Are they going to try to start patenting fighting games like Soul Calibur 6? Now, Bandai Namco is responsible for Tekken, and I do believe Tekken is older than Soul Calibur, if I remember correctly. And it's been around for so long that you shouldn't be able to patent it, but we've seen what's been happening there. that's another one of the things that concerns me when you get these massive companies and these holding companies buying out all these smaller companies is this opening the door for more of this lawfare, this legal BS that's happening that is destroying the gaming industry. They're already taking the soul out of it. All these companies are already taking the soul out of the gaming industry, and now they are getting more and more powerful and owning more and more IP that could potentially further damage the gaming industry. But I don't know. But the long story short, the TLDR, no, I don't think that this lawsuit or this acquisition is going to have any effect on the Pocket Pair lawsuit. I wanted to get ahead of that immediately because I anticipate that some of the questions that are the comments that are going to be posted on this video that I am this one right here, the one I'm talking for right now, are going to be, well, how will this affect the Pocket Pair lawsuit? Considering that's the majority of what my channel is about. I don't anticipate it affecting the Pocket Pair lawsuit. And the second one, this is not going to give them an acquisition of Digimon. This is Bandai Namco Studios Singapore. As far as I can tell, Bandai Namco Studios Singapore does not have any ownership of Digimon. So the kind of thought of like, okay, is this a way? One of the questions I anticipate that there might have been is this going to be a way for Nintendo to get control of Digimon as well, since Digimon, especially at the beginning of Pokemon's life, was a competitor for them. The games and Digimon have just kind of not really been as big of a deal. It doesn't hold the same weight as Pokemon. A lot of people I know don't even know what Digimon is or have never played a Digimon game, and that is sad. Also, why is there not a Digimon Go? That is the most insane thing for me. The side rant here, Pokemon Go as a game, sure, it makes sense. But Digimon Go as a game would make so much more sense because the entire conceit of like the Digimon anime and the Digimon games is generally you're a kid that was playing a Tamagotchi game, and now Tamagotchis can be on your phone, but playing a little handheld game that got accidentally sucked into the Digimon world, and now you're playing it. So it would, and in some of the anime, the Digimon end up getting actualized into the real world. So it would make so much more sense for Digimon Go than Pokemon. In fact, you could just say Digimon Go is canon. Digimon Go can just easily be canon to the real world because that's what Digimon is. It's a game. Why are you not doing this? Anyways, but no, this is not going to give them the control to take over Digimon in any sort of way. This is not going to really, as far as I can tell, affect the Pocket Pair, Power World, Nintendo lawsuit, any of that going on. This is just them acquiring more and more to increase their internal studios. Good news for Nintendo fans. Maybe bad news for the gaming community as a whole. But with that, I am going to leave it there. Please, if you've reached this far, consider leaving a comment, leaving a like, subscribe if you haven't already. Hype the video. Every bit of engagement helps the video do better. Consider signing up for memberships. Every dollar from the membership is going to go straight to my editor until it reaches such a point that I can afford to hire him on full time. Shout out to BoxWizard52. He's my only tier 3 member right now. If you want to get your own shout out, consider signing up for the memberships. If you would like to help me fight patent trolling, I am working on a database of prior art for video game mechanics and other things related to video games that can be used by the USPTO and by indie devs to help fight any cases of patent trolling and to help prevent shady companies like Nintendo from getting access to patents that for video game mechanics that they shouldn't have been able to get. Consider donating to the GoFundMe for that. I'm probably if you like me, if you like hearing me talk, if you like hearing me say things, and if you want to hear some stories from my life, please click on the playlist over there. That is my storytelling channel. I need to upload more to it, but there's like 6 videos on there right now. It's a very cathartic thing for me. I enjoy doing it, and you'll get to hear me talk a lot more about things that aren't necessarily gaming related. But with that, I think that's everything. Fuck Nintendo. Have a nice day.